Good morning, Wave Riders. I'm Mrs. Weiss, and I'm here with my brother, Denet. And hopefully you guys have a reflection sheet to fill out. Denet's visiting Kona right now, and so we just thought it would be really nice to bring in somebody who grew up in Kona and then has moved to the mainland and kind of share some of his background and things that he went through. And so I'm just going to do like a kind of informal interview, but kind of follow the reflection sheet so that hopefully you guys can fill it out. So Denet, that's a pretty unusual name. Can you tell us any background?
Yes, it is. Well, Mom and Dad picked it out, as you well know. It was actually Navajo Indian.
Yeah, so both of us have Navajo names. We were born in Arizona, and our parents were actually living on the reservation there. My dad was working in a trading post, so my name is Yanna, and Denet's full name is actually Denet Sosi, and those are Navajo. Can you tell us a little bit about, we moved here, you weren't in high school yet, but where did you go to high school?
I went to Kona.
So did I. I'm a little bit older, so I graduated first, but Denet attended Kona. You were there for all 4 years, right?
Yes, I was.
And actually Kona middle school too?
I started in elementary school there.
Really?
Yeah, it was my last year of elementary school. You were in middle school, and then I finished
all 4 years of high school from Kona.
And 2 years of middle school before that.
So I kind of remember some of my own ideas about what you liked in high school and stuff, but for question number 2, can you kind of tell us what was your least favorite and your most favorite subjects when you were in high school?
The least favorite topic was easy. I couldn't stand math, particularly algebra. You used to have to tutor me quite a bit to help me there. And that's actually part of the reason why she became a teacher, because I was the worst student and gave her a lot of practice on tutoring someone. I was very difficult and I did not enjoy it at all. My favorite subject, which was weird, is I actually liked physics. I loved science. And usually you think of math and science going together, but I really disliked math, but I enjoyed the science classes.
Did you eventually have to get better at math?
I did eventually have to get better at math, yes.
That was after I wasn't tutoring you anymore, right?
That was in my university days.
Yeah. So while you were in high school, you did some pretty cool stuff. What was a club or team that you were part of that was kind of unique?
Well, I was part of the solar car team. We built the solar car and actually got to race across Australia.
Before you did that, I remember you guys would do like races down at Old Airport.
Yeah, we had a qualifying event at the Old Airport and we competed. I think there were 6 other schools.
Yeah, so back then, building a solar car was a competition that high schools participated in.
It was pretty radical for high schools to be in it back then.
Was it mostly college level?
It was mostly, I mean, at the world stage, it was a mix of having universities and also corporations. So when we went to Australia, I mean, Honda was there. Wow. General Motors had won the first year. So it was major corporations.
So tell us a little bit about the race in Australia, because that was very, very amazing for a high school from Hawaii to be able to participate in.
We did get the attention of Hollywood and were eventually captured in the movie Erase the Sun, which had some truth to it and some distortions. The overall truth, we were the last car to leave the starting line. We did break down at the start, so the movie they captured that correctly.
That's Race the Sun?
Yeah, Race the Sun with Holly Berry.
Wants to go watch that?
It was one of her earlier movies.
Yeah. So how long was the race?
Oh, it's 2,000 miles.
And just tell us a little bit about what you did, what it was like.
I think it took us 11 days. Oh. So we had the car, we had to maintain it. We had multiple breaks. The first day we had problems, as I said, at the starting line with our motor, and we had to change electric motors right on the first day. And then we had a few flats along the way. And
how many people would be in the car at one time?
One person. And so we would race from, if I remember, it was from 8 in the morning till 5. And then after, we could sit there and we'd have people hold the solar panels aimed at the sun until the sunset to try to get in every last drop of sunshine that we could.
To recharge the batteries.
And we camped in the outback of Australia, which was an amazing experience on its own.
There is somebody else who's at our school who is involved in this.
Yeah, Melita was a part of the team.
So for those of you who don't know by her first name, that's Mrs. Carey now. Yeah, it used to be Miss Bunghanoi. And is she the same grade as you?
Yeah, we're
So they were classmates, and Mrs. Carey also went and participated in the Australia race, right?
Oh, she was one of our drivers. So
very cool.
She drove the car.
That is very awesome. So thank you, Mrs. Carey, for doing that. Denet, kind of moving on from high school, tell us a little bit about your transition to college and what you got interested in studying and where you went.
I went to school in Western Washington University. I actually studied vehicle design.
Was that from the solar car involvement in high school?
I had met some of the team members when I was in Australia. Then I went on to join them in studying. It was a great program in vehicle design up there. And
was
ended
it
up getting
just solar car vehicles, or?
No, we did a hybrid, primarily hybrid vehicles back then.
And this was like in the early 90s?
It was in the early 90s.
So that was pretty new stuff back then, right?
It was very new. We were years ahead of our time, and we set a few records.
Well, very cool. Moving on to about number 5, could you tell us about some of the jobs you had after you got out of college?
My first job was a battery test engineer. So I worked at this startup company, and I would test these packs of batteries. So I'd have 25 cells, and little cells about the size of a cell phone in one packet, and I got to run different tests. I'd look at how they'd hold their charge and how they discharge. The funnest one was some accelerated life test that I ran, where I'd actually take these batteries and put them in an oven, and I got to bake them at temperatures to simulate a quicker life, and you got to see how they'd hold up at higher temperatures. So that was my first job in the technology sector, was working at this battery startup.
And this was in California?
Yeah, it was in California, in Scotts Valley, which is just on the mountain over from Silicon Valley.
And then what did you do after that?
So I discovered Silicon Valley after that, since I was working in the perimeter, that over the mountain there was a lot of technology going on, and I got into the semiconductor sector and started working at a robotics company which would build equipment to make chips which go in computers, phones, and pretty much all the devices that we use.
So we have a lot of students in our school here who are involved in robotics, so very cool.
Robotics is a very exciting field, and we're still at the early stages where it hasn't yet gone fully mainstream. So I think it's an excellent area for students to be studying, because the future is huge, and there's going to be a lot of robotics in our future.
Tell us about a couple other jobs.
Well, after that, more recently, I moved from the semiconductor industry into the networking sector. So I work at Cisco now. I'm part of
that would be about number 6, right?
Yeah, I'm working as a program manager at Cisco. And we make routers and switches, basically the tool to keep the internet running.
I'm pretty sure that a lot of stuff from Cisco is in our school. So when our internet got redone last year, our wireless, there were just like tons of Cisco boxes in our library, and we got a whole new phone system. Everybody has a new phone in their room, and they are all Cisco phones.
Yeah, I have a Cisco IP phone on my desk at work, but we do a lot more than just phones. We actually make the networks and sort of the infrastructure that goes behind the internet and that routes the bits of information.
So I know when I was visiting last summer, I think it was, no, the summer before, and you showed me around Cisco, it's not just like one building, right?
No, it's what we call a campus. I thought there's around 40 buildings there the last time.
It was big.
Similar to a university campus with all the different buildings.
And this is in Silicon Valley, near where Apple is and Google and a whole bunch of tech
it's a really interesting part of the world, because all the companies are there. Facebook's close by. I've got Stanford is down the street from where I live.
So where do you live?
I live in Mountain View.
Mountain View, California, not Mountain View,
California.
Hawaii. And tell us a little bit about what it's like there compared to Kona.
It is close to, like I said, close to Stanford, and San Francisco is a bit further north. Well, there's a lot of people there, and it's quite busy. It is highly competitive, but it's a great area to work in and to have opportunities. And a lot of startup companies come from there. And really, it's the center I want to say the center of the universe for technology right now.
Is there a lot of technology? Like, do people have cool things when you're walking around?
Oh, yeah. So the day the iPhone came out, I was actually eating dinner, and we looked, and this was the first day they came out. They weren't yet available, and we looked across, and someone had their new iPhone out.
Is that the first iPhone, not iPhone 6?
No, this is the iPhone 6.
Oh, okay.
And it just, the day they announced it, someone already had it.
Wow.
So everyone has prototype software and different devices.
Google does like free Wi-Fi where you live.
Yeah, Google has free Wi-Fi. And I actually, it's kind of a bummer, but I'm missing an event where I was invited to go to Google to look at some upcoming projects they're working on that they haven't yet released to the public.
And the Google driverless car.
Oh, yeah, there's I mean, every day I'll see 1, 2, or 3 Google cars driving around. They have this camera that spins on the top of them, so you can recognize the Google driverless cars, and you see them all over the place on the freeway, in town. There's a game that some people would play where they try to like put their foot out in front of it and see if they could get the car to put on its brakes. And
I hope that works and the car does put on its brakes. Otherwise, that would be really bad. Yeah. So it's kind of cool because you get to see all these new things. And
it is very cool.
Anything else that you think is really different in Mountain View from Kona?
Well, the winters are a little colder.
Yeah.
The obvious
I thought
ones.
it was cold there in the summer.
The weather is a little different, but I mean, it is the center and the hub for technology. So you have these institutions, Stanford the most notable, and then you have just the access to different resources, the venture capital, the startups, and the collaboration that goes on. So when you go out to a cafe, some of the conversations you'll overhear, and then former co-workers go on to work at different companies, and people break off and start their own companies. It's really a fun place to be.
Very cool. So you work at Cisco as an engineer, which is pretty cool since you hated math in high school.
It is pretty cool.
That you were able to overcome that and go on to be an engineer. And you're living in Mountain View. Can you tell us some of the other things you're involved with besides the technology stuff?
I am involved in multiple things. One of them is for health and fitness. Mm-hmm. I enjoy my own workouts, and I got into a local public access media.
Okay.
Well, I did get into media and public broadcast, and I have fun volunteering and helping out on some TV shows.
So for public access, you actually do a show, right?
I have my own show on fitness. It's Hi-Fi Fitness.
And you do is it once a month? About
once a month. We'll do workouts or cover health-related topics.
And if anybody from here wanted to watch that, how would they do that?
It's on the web. The easiest way is to simply Google Hi-Fi Fitness. It's all spelled out.
And so sometimes it's a show where it's just highlighting.
Sometimes we'll do a boot camp, and we get it in there, and we'll get sweaty and push each other.
I don't really watch those ones.
Other times we'll interview a guest or have different speakers come on there and talk about health-related issues. And we had a couple of paleo versus vegan debates going recently that were kind of fun.
So that's the TV part,
which is
very
part.
Cool. And then for health and fitness, what kinds of things are you doing?
Well, I work out myself. I got into CrossFit for a while, but mostly I go to Gold's Gym and do the old school bodybuilding and weightlifting. Because my life is pretty sedentary, I sit a lot. I need some exercise, and the gym's how I balance that out.
Cool. And that's really good for everybody to kind of figure out a way to keep healthy with whatever career and job you go into.
It's more than just, I mean, it's something that you really have to focus on taking control of your health and making sure you're getting exercise, because the lifestyles we have now, if you don't make it a point, then you'll have a lot of risk and consequences. So it's really something you want to take control of, and it feels good and it's fun.
You make me feel like I should go jogging today.
You probably should.
Yeah. All right, because Denet was coming, I asked him to take a look at the habits of mind that we try to focus on here, and maybe mention from his transition from high school into college and then through some different jobs and into his career. What habits of mind does he feel like are most important or that he uses the most? So go ahead and share with us.
Well, there's 3. One, because of Silicon Valley, I think innovation and thinking critically, being able to connect different ideas and innovate is just really important. Again, that's the center of where different technologies come from. So right now, the marketplace, you have to realize it's really competitive. So you're competing with students that came out of India, a lot that came from overseas. We have a lot of people from India and other parts of the world that come to work in Silicon Valley. And what you really need to be able to do is, how are you going to think? How are you going to come up with new ways to make business work better? When you have your job, what can be done different? And for students, when they start their job, it's just a great opportunity to ask questions. Ask, why are you doing it this way? And think, well, what if we did it another way? Is there something we could do different that would be easier and would make this job funner or quicker or save time or save money? So innovation is huge, and that's one I really want to highlight.
Posing questions.
Posing questions, they all become wrapped together. The other two are persistency. I like to call it grit. It's not IQ, but it's having the wherewithal to stick through it. I didn't enjoy math. I had to work particularly hard at it, but you can overcome any of the other obstacles by working hard. So I think persistency is probably the most important factor. And the second factor is continuing learning. So a little personal story. Yanna, or Miss Weiss, she loved to read, and reading came really easy to you, didn't it?
Yeah.
So when we were little kids, you'd read these books to me, and I was around 6 years old, and you'd be a few years older, and you'd read, and I could sit there and listen.
I like to read out loud.
But I'd learn a lot from you reading out loud to me. So now I find that I love this app on my phone, and I'll listen to audiobooks. I can listen to an audiobook a lot of times when I'm not sitting down and wouldn't be able to. I might be doing other activities, but I can still listen. If I'm driving, for example, or in traffic, I can listen to an audiobook and be learning. So I think continual learning is just a key area for everyone to be working on.
Okay, well, very cool. So you said imagining and innovating.
Innovation.
And you also mentioned posing questions, and then persisting.
Persisting.
And now I just lost the last one.
The last one is continual learning.
Oh yeah, being open to continuous learning. So very cool, and thank you for kind of sharing how those have been important in your life and helping us connect to that. So we're getting kind of close to the end. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody?
Any more stories you want me to share?
Not if they're embarrassing. I'm sure you have a lot you could share.
Okay,
so
well,
maybe
we'll
should
follow those
go
up
ahead
offline
and
sometime then.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And again, students out there, think of what is coming in the future. Robotics is just an excellent area, as are looking at what other technologies will be. I encourage, we need more students in math, science. We need more engineers. So please think about continuing and really getting to learn these basic fundamental skills. You'll be able to get a job if you're an engineer and if you're looking into the technology sector. It's a lot of fun, and the future is going to be more and more dependent on technology. If you enjoy any of these skills we discussed, just consider getting an engineering background and coming into the technology sector, because it's a happening field and it's a lot of fun.
Cool. And thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
All right. Hope you guys have a really good Tuesday.
Have a good day. It was fun to be here.